It's really tough to ignore all the AI stuff in the news these days.
Yeah, definitely feels like it's everywhere you look, right?
It really does. I mean, every time I turn around, some tech company is making a big AI announcement.
Yeah,
And, it kind of makes you wonder who's actually going to end up ahead in all of this.
yeah. Feels like we're watching this big game play out,
Yeah.
but we don't even know all the rules yet.
Exactly. And that's honestly why I'm so pumped to dive into this report today. It's called Navigating the AI Labyrinth, a candid comparison of AI strategies among tech titans.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of this one. It's by Jonathan Kyle Hopton. He's quickly becoming like one of the top analysts in the AI world.
That's him.
Yeah,
And he's got this really incredible knack for breaking down super complex tech stuff in a way that just makes sense, even if you're not, a hardcore data scientist.
totally.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes this report so valuable. It's not just skimming the surface, right? Hobson goes deep on how these major players like Microsoft, Google, Apple, Amazon, Meta, how they're each tackling AI.
Yeah, he really digs into their specific goals, what they're focused on, and where they seem to be heading.
And what I find super interesting is how each company's, their history, their whole vibe, how it all kind of feeds into their AI strategy.
Right.
It's not just about the tech itself. It's how they see it playing with their existing business and their, big picture plans.
It's wild, right? It's like each company is playing a totally different game, even though they're all on the same field.
For sure.
And this report does a fantastic job of highlighting those differences. Like, let's take Microsoft, for example. Hobson uses this phrase, charging ahead, to describe them. And honestly, I think it's spot on.
Yeah, they're bold, making these huge moves, not afraid to stir things up.
Exactly. And the way they're building AI into things like Microsoft Copilot, it shows how serious they are. They're not just talking about AI, they're putting it right into people's hands.
And that says a lot.
Yeah.
It's one thing to talk the talk, but they're walking the walk.
Yeah, it's almost like they're saying, we're not waiting around for the future of AI, we're building it right now. And the fact that they're pouring so much into open source AI tells you they really want to be seen as leaders here.
It's smart, too, because by going all in on open source, they're essentially guaranteeing they'll be at the forefront no matter what comes next.
It's a really strategic move. Now, on the flip side, you've got Google. Hobson calls them the cautious wanderer.
Which, at first glance might seem kind of strange given how dominant Google is in so many tech areas.
Right.
But when you dig a little deeper, it makes sense. They're not flashy or aggressive like Microsoft. They're playing the long game.
And they have the resources to do it. I mean, come on, it's Google. They can afford to take their time and really think things through, both for their business and for how AI might impact society as a whole.
Totally. And when you look at their roster of AI researchers, it's clear they're in it for the long haul.
Yeah.
They've got some of the brightest minds in the field working on these really fundamental problems that might not even have commercial applications for years, maybe even decades.
Wow. Yeah. It's not like Google's just sitting on their hands, though. Their AI work on things like Google Assistant and Google Translate, it's crazy advanced, even if they're not always the first to roll out new features.
It's like they're watching how the tech unfolds, how people respond before they fully commit. It's very much a don't be first, be better kind of approach.
Classic Google.
Yeah.
All right, so we've got the bull in the china shop and the cautious wanderer. Now let's talk about a company that's known for being a little more, shall we say, discreet. Apple. Hobson calls them the stealth operative, which, if you've ever used an Apple product, probably isn't too surprising.
Right. Apple is notoriously tight-lipped about their whole product development process, and their AI strategy is no exception.
Yeah, they let their products do the talking.
Exactly. They're not out there making a bunch of noise. They just seamlessly weave AI into their devices and services in a way that feels totally natural and intuitive.
And you know what? It works. Think about it. Their facial recognition software, Siri, even just the way your iPhone camera adjusts setting automatically, it's all powered by AI, but most people probably don't even realize it.
That's the beauty of their approach. They get that for the average person. AI isn't about the tech itself. It's about the experience. It's about making the tech disappear so you can just focus on what you want to do.
It's like they're saying, we trust you to use our products and we're going to make them as smart and helpful as possible without you having to lift a finger. But even though they're subtle about it, Apple is clearly not messing around when it comes to AI. Yeah, they've been making some strategic acquisitions lately, too, like when they scooped up Xnor.ai, a machine learning startup that specializes in on-device AI.
Oh, yeah, that's a smart move.
Yeah.
It tells you they're thinking about the future, pushing those boundaries even further.
Absolutely. And it plays right into their strengths, right? Like, privacy is a huge deal for Apple and on-device. AI lets them keep more of your data on your device instead of sending it up to the cloud.
It's a win-win for them and their users. They get to maintain their commitment to privacy while still delivering cutting-edge AI features.
Exactly. Okay, so we've talked about Microsoft's bold bets, Google's strategic patience, and Apple's under-the-radar approach. Now let's jump over to Amazon. Hobson describes them as the pragmatic pioneer, which honestly feels like the perfect way to sum up their no-nonsense style.
Yeah, Amazon is all about efficiency, getting things done. They see AI as a tool to make their existing businesses even better, whether that's e-commerce, logistics, cloud computing, you name it. And they're not afraid to invest big time where they see a clear path to a return.
Their AI-powered logistics network is a perfect example. They basically use AI to streamline their entire delivery process. From predicting what people are going to order to figuring out the fastest routes, it's a huge part of how they get those packages delivered so quickly and affordably.
Yeah, it's honestly pretty remarkable. And their acquisition of iRobot, the company that makes those Roomba vacuums,
Yeah.
shows they're serious about bringing that same level of AI smarts to the smart home.
My room is going to start making me coffee next. I just know.
Well, hey, a girl can dream, right? But seriously, Amazon's focus on real-world applications of AI, it's literally changing the game for entire industries. Like their cloud computing platform, AWS, it's a major player in the AI world. It's what tons of businesses are using to build and run their own AI stuff.
It's like they're quietly becoming this AI powerhouse, even while companies like Microsoft and Google are grabbing all the headlines. And then there's the data. Amazon has this insane amount of information about what people buy, how they buy it. It's like a gold mine for training and refining AI algorithms.
And that's key,
Yeah.
right? Because data is the fuel that drives AI. And in that sense, Amazon has a huge leg up. They know what we want, how we want it, what we're probably going to want next. It's incredibly valuable for any company trying to build AI-powered products or services.
It's like they're sitting on this treasure chest of insights that they're just starting to unlock. Last but certainly not least, we got to talk about Meta. Hobson calls them the open source crusader, which some people might find a little ironic given their track record with data privacy.
It's true. Meta has definitely faced their fair share of criticism when it comes to user data. But they've also been surprisingly vocal about the need for ethical, transparent AI development.
Yeah, and their commitment to open source AI is a big part of that. They've released a bunch of their own AI tools and frameworks to the public, and they've been really pushing for collaboration and knowledge sharing within the AI community.
It's a savvy move, strategically speaking. By positioning themselves as the good guys of open source AI, they get to steer the conversation a bit, attract top-tier talent.
Yeah, it helps soften their image a little too. Show the world that they're not just about collecting our data and showing us ads. They actually care about using AI for good.
Right. And some of the work they're doing with AI for things like moderating content and spotting fake news is definitely a step in the right direction.
And we can't forget about their big investments in the metaverse, virtual reality, all that ties into AI too, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
They're betting big on this idea that the future of computing is going to be way more immersive, interactive,
Yeah.
and that AI is going to be the key to building those experiences.
It's like they're constructing a whole new digital world and using AI to make it feel as real as possible. And the crazy thing is we're just getting started. This whole AI thing, it's like we're watching a rocket launch, but we're still on the ground.
Totally. What we're seeing now is just a tiny taste of what AI will be able to do in the future. It's both exciting and kind of mind-blowing at the same time.
No kidding. It's exciting, but it's also like, whoa, where do we even begin to make sense of all this? What's the next step?
That's the million-dollar question.
Mm.
But honestly, I think this report gives us a really solid place to start. It lays out the key players, their game plans, and what could happen based on the moves they're making.
Yeah, it's like a roadmap for this crazy AI world we're entering.
Exactly. And like any good roadmap, it helps us figure out where we are, where we might want to go, and what to watch out for along the way.
So for everyone listening who's ready to go beyond the headlines and really get a grip on what's going on in the AI world, let's break down some key takeaways from our deep dive today.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, so takeaway number one, diversity is key. There's no one right way to do AI. Each company we've talked about is using its own strengths, its own special sauce, whether it's Microsoft going all in on open source or Apple keeping that laser focus on user experience.
I like to think of it like this. They're all playing different instruments, but together they're creating this incredible symphony of AI innovation.
I love that analogy. And it brings us to our second takeaway, understanding the big picture, the whole ecosystem. These companies aren't just off doing their own thing in a bubble. They're all bumping into each other, teaming up with smaller players, and trying to keep up with what we, the users, want and need.
Right? It's a complex web for sure. But if you want to make smart choices about AI, whether you're investing, building a company, or just trying to stay ahead of the game, understanding those connections is crucial.
Couldn't agree more. Okay, and this brings us to our final takeaway, and I think it might be the most important one of all, the human element.
It's easy to get caught up in all the algorithms and data and forget about that.
Right. We've thrown around a lot of tech jargon today,
Right.
but ultimately, AI is about us. It's about how we use these tools to solve problems, make our lives better, and create a future we actually want to live in.
And that means thinking long and hard about the ethics of it all, making sure these technologies are used to benefit everyone, not just a select few.
It's a challenge, no doubt, but it's one we can't ignore. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm left thinking about something.
Was that?
The future of AI isn't this fixed destination. It's not set in stone. We all have a say in how this unfolds. The choices we make, the questions we ask, the conversations we have, it all matters.
I'm with you on that one. The future of AI, it's not pre-programmed. It's a
Oh.
story that's still being written.
Exactly. And that's what makes this whole thing so exciting. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of AI. Until next time, keep those questions coming, keep exploring, and most importantly, keep learning.